how many generations of farmer are you? So your dad was a farmer before yourself?
I'm third. Obviously, Dan, there'd be fourth, and then grandkids would be fifth. So, yeah, I suppose I could say I'm fourth, really, because obviously my grandfather was a doctor, but it sort of came through from the family there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, moving on to farming, that's just another chapter now.
Well, that's why I wanted to speak to you, just to find out, because for a short period of time I lived up in Yorkshire, and I lived on a farm, and prior to doing this I thought I'd just speak to a couple of local farmers, one that's not far around down the road in Rollright, and the ones up in Yorkshire. So tell me what you've got in terms of challenges of where you're at the moment, because I've just seen on Facebook you're been going down to, I'm assuming driving down the moetaway in your tractor to go and protest.
No, we can't go on the motorway. That's breaking the law.
Right,
but I'll be honest, I'm very tempted next time, because why not? If you can't beat them, join them. It's. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I've said to you before, I don't understand all the politics. I'm not a politician, or I'd never claimed to know everything. All I know is, I'm very passionate about the farming. I wanted to be able to move it on to my grandchildren and my kids. But it's not just me. There's a lot of other people out there that, like you were saying earlier on, people, they don't own the land, they're tenant farmers.
Yeah.
They're affected just as much. And we're all affected in various different ways. And it is so wrong what they're doing, because...
Well, tell us what have they done that's affected you then?
Basically, what they've now announced is that we've got to pay inheritance tax on the farm. So, for instance, if I was to die tomorrow, I can afford to die tomorrow. That's the stupid part. As from, I think it's next April, we're sort of like a year down the line.
Yeah.
If I die then, anything over the figure that they've said, which I can't even remember what it is now, we'll have to pay 20%, which would be a big figure. I'm probably looking £250,000-300,000. My family would.
So it would be your kids that would have to pay that money.
Yeah. But the bit, again, hopefully I will be around for a lot longer. With the sheer rate of inflation, everything will go up in value in inflation, just worth more, because everything does this as a sliding scale. They haven't even said that they will move that with it. So, for instance, if my farm now was worth, I don't know, 3 million, for instance, in a few years' time, 10 years' time, it's going almost certainly should be worth more.
Yeah.
But their figure isn't going to go with it. But the difference is, we'll happily pay tax. I'll pay tax all day long, and I do pay tax. Not a lot at the moment, because I don't make any money. But the tools that we've got, which is our land, they want us to pay tax, or them to pay tax on that when they receive it.
Yeah.
So all that's going to do is make it smaller, because I can't think, okay, I'll keep putting money aside and saving it, so when they get it, there's enough money there to pay the tax. It's not going to happen, because the farm can't do it.
So what would they have to do then, in order to pay that money? If they wanted to receive it
they'll have to sell.
They have to sell a certain percentage of the land,
which will kill it. Because I only farm 150 acres. I farm 150 acres of another farm, very similar situation. But it's just not enough there. And of course, if you've got the property that goes with it, the house or whatever, that all goes into things. And of course, obviously, all the machinery that's in.
So the value of like a big farmhouse, for instance, is going to be.
Yeah, that'll all go into it.
Yeah.
I'm fighting this, to be honest, as much as my parents. Neither of them are alive now.
And the machinery as well, is that included as all part of it?
Yeah.
So it's not just the land; it's machinery, buildings.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Obviously the machinery was always in it anyway, but of course, so you're almost going to have to pay for that anyway. Like I said, I don't understand the whole thing of it. I understand as much as I need to know.
My understanding, just a brief understanding, it is just a brief, just listen to one podcast. The understanding is that it was kind of always on the table for previous governments to be able to look at it, but only this government have decided to activate it.
Yeah, when my mum passed away, I lost my dad quite a few years ago. My brother and myself, she was partners in a certain amount, and we received the rest of obviously what she had. We had to have somebody come out that checked the land to check that we were farming it, rather than have it full of horses or something that wasn't directly farm, so we could get the tax relief on that.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously will be totally out the window. It's just you're paying it regardless.
Right.
And the worrying thing now is they're now saying they can't afford to basically live, particularly people that are ill, they can't afford to live beyond next year's time. Because if they're ill, and this is where, unfortunately, the suicide rate, everything is all just...
Is it high amongst farmers, suicide rate?
It is very high. There's different people cope with different things, but there's so much pressure. There really is so much pressure. And, there's the standing joke, you never see a poor farmer. There's bigger states. There's bigger states that will be able to cover this. They'll be able to do it. But the smaller farms, the people that have just kept coming along through the family, we don't want them to all be the big farms. Why shouldn't we be the smaller farms? Pounds per acre, I probably make more money than a lot of farms, because I don't employ anybody. I do pretty well all mechanics myself.
Mm-hmm.
All my kit is older, so it's
bought and paid for.
I mean, this tractor we're sat on now, I gave, I don't know, 12 years ago, I gave £16,500 for it. It's probably now worth £26,000.
Isn't that funny how it goes up in value? It's amazing.
But equally, if I was to sell it, the cost of the new tractor is
it would just be astronomical.
Way up there. So all my kit is paid for as well.
So your only choice would be to go and lease something then.
Yeah,
which is adding to your monthly cost.
Yeah, you wouldn't. But all my tractors. This is 22 years old. This tractor. I've got a few old tractors, so I just, like I said, I keep maintaining them. But they're bought and paid for. But I just couldn't. The thought now of having machinery that's all borrowed, big, expensive, I couldn't sell all my tractors and buy one brand new tractor. I just couldn't do it. It wouldn't work. The cost, it just, and this is where people just don't understand that we're pushed now into a corner to try and produce everything. We're getting less money than we were 10 years ago.
And what's this about this payment that's been reduced? It's something about wilding payment. What was it?
Well, you've got the SFI payments, which was...
what does that stand for? What's that? The hell is that all about?
Well, we had the subsidies where we got paid X amount per acre. We got that even if we farmed it and cropped it.
Yeah.
That gradually, I think, going back when I first started, that's sort of, I don't know, 15, 12 years ago, I think that was something like £16,000. We used to get that beginning of every year. And to be honest, that's what kept farmers going, was that subsidy payment.
And the subsidy was so to make British farms competitive with the cheaper foods from overseas. Was that the idea behind that?
Yeah, I guess it was. I never really worked out why. It was sort of something that just rolled in from when we sort of carried on the farm from my parents. But then they obviously said that it's going to get reduced each year, which it has. I think it's now probably down to about 4,000, probably less than that, and it's dropping all the time. So they then introduced this new one, which is the SFI, where we look at each field and we say, well, okay, it's got X amount of trees. That's a tick. We get that, and the hedges there. So it's got good hedges there rather than no hedges. So that's another. So that's a figure. And then if you've got land that isn't very productive, you could put it into wild bird feed, and that's in for like 3 years.
So sort of rewilding, is that it's kind of an eco
basically
payment?
Right. I didn't go into any of those. I've got one field that isn't very good, but I didn't want to. I'm determined to try and farm it because that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because the difference is
then that
now,
grows food.
Exactly.
Is that the deal?
Whereas before we would get that field there is a field of wheat. We would get X amount of subsidy, regardless the fact that as long as you're growing a crop on it, we'd get that.
Yeah.
So you get the crop payment and you get the subsidy.
Yeah.
Whereas now you have to put it into wildflowers, so you're not getting a crop return. So that's what we get from the SFI.
So you're kind of relying on the government payments to pay.
Yeah, and there are some farms that obviously they have to have contractors in. Some of their land's not so good. They've done this. They've put in a big area it's a guaranteed income for they don't get a massive amount, but equally their outlays aren't there because they're not spending it. And I was contemplating doing some because there's some land that I have which is very wet. And then all of a sudden now what they're saying is any that are in the system they will honour for however long, and I don't know, it's 3 years or whatever it is. But anyone else he was going to put an application in that hasn't, it's abolished. It's gone. History. And I know quite a few people that are in the process of they've probably paid professionals, because not all farmers are going to do this themselves. They're not going to do the paperwork. There are professionals out there. It's not a cheap exercise. And they would have already started this, about to present it, and all of a sudden overnight the government, literally we got an email from DEFRA saying no more. So that's it. It's changed. They say they're going to come back with something else, but we all know it's not going to be better. Yeah. Because they wouldn't have taken away what they've given us so far.
Yeah. So it gave you no notice about doing it. Just suddenly just stop the payments.
Yeah. And to be honest, they're trying to hit us from every angle. Really. There was a bit of a scare last week. We thought that the budget was we were led to believe they might be getting rid of red diesel. Yeah. Which is half the price of white diesel. And if they did that, to be honest, it became over for us because you just could not do it.
So it's like at the peak of this time of year when I'm seeing on Facebook you going down to their Houses of Parliament. Well, tell us about that actually, because I would quite like to have come down. And in fact, I might do that at some point.
I think you might have to fight my grandson because he does come with me. But I mean, there's arguments. Are we doing the right thing? In my eyes, yes, we are. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. We need to show our presence all the time. We need to keep on at them. But it's not necessarily the Prime Minister. It's more the local MPs, because they're the ones that are sort of further down the line. And if they keep going and saying they're not happy, I mean. Again, I don't know the figures, but I'm told, and please, I might be totally wrong, but I think like the local MPs, they're on some stupid amount of money because now they're the local MP. Why are they going to fight to get the Labour government out when they're on good money for a guaranteed 4 years, 5 years, or whatever it is? Yeah. So it's going to take a certain person to actually say no. I do. And I'm not bothered if people voted for Labour. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Everyone can vote whoever they want. But people voted for Labour because they understood that Labour were going to do what they said they were going to do. Surely. Yeah. Why would you vote for someone that you think they're just going to go and randomly change it?
That's the theory, isn't it? Yeah.
So wake up a little bit and think Labour haven't done what they said they were going to do. They lied. They have lied.
In what way? What was it they said they were going to do, and what haven't they done?
Well, look what they've done with all the old people. They've taken obviously all their allowances away. There's a massive thing that they're hitting everybody. Some of the benefits. I don't even know the whole list. There's an awful lot more, and I'm sure people will see this and think, well, you're not quite right in what you're saying. I might not be totally right.
Well, all you can say is kind of how it affects you, can't you?
There is a famous video out there of Keir Starmer saying, we cannot make farmers lose their farms. What's he doing? Yeah. And this this isn't just about the farmers fighting for. We are fighting for ourselves, but to be honest, now we're fighting for this country, because it's about time people bloody stood up to it. Because the farmers won't do this alone. We'll never do it alone, because there's not enough of us. You know, we have a strong, obviously, input because of the food, but unfortunately, you know, a lot of people, all they want to do is see cheap food, because they haven't got the money. They're going to have to buy cheap food.
Yeah.
But if we've got the strength as a farmer to put it across and to help demonstrate and explain, hopefully, the way I see it, you know, we don't want to fall out with the public. We don't want to be going around stopping people driving in supermarkets and all these different things, because we don't want to piss the public off. We want the public to be behind us. And to be fair, you know, all the trips I've done, I've only had 2 or 3 people that are very negative. But I don't care. You know, they're probably negative about everything in life, in all honesty.
You said the police have been pretty.
The police have been
good.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you know, from our point of view, don't take the piss, because they've got their job to do. I did get told off in London because I was driving the tractor and I was filming with my phone, you know, officially.
Because that's lethal during the speed that tractors do. Well, yeah, I know what you mean. It's yeah.
Yeah, I've done some.
Is that the best thing they could do?
I haven't, and I will be honest.
You should have seen me on a trike in the 80s.
Well, Johnny, when they pull you over and you go, well, the years ago they pull you over in a car, you go, I'm a rally driver, I know what I'm doing. You don't say that. It used to get me into shit anyway. So you certainly don't say that. But I'll be honest. Yeah, I haven't paid the congestion thing. I have no intention of doing that. Out of principle, I'm not giving them any more money. But no, the police have been very good. Again, I mean, I went for an MOT one day with my van or something or other in a Vosa place, and of course you get talking, and he said, "I'm sorry." He says, "I can't talk about this because I work for the government."
Right. Yeah.
I can tell who's with us. You know, we're not being unreasonable.
Yeah.
We're not asking for something that really isn't unreasonable.
You're trying to protect something that's been here for generations.
All that'll happen, it'll be a load of foreign people, as in investors, that will be buying. There is.
I hear that's what's been happening. A lot of
there
investors
is so
have been buying
much behind this. There's the land grab now. You know, if this field here, for instance, if the government could come along now, this is how I understand it, it's how it's going to be, and they could say, we are buying that field, whether you don't want to sell it, we're buying it for development, but we're going to pay you agricultural value.
Right. So rather than development value, how does that affect you? You know, what sort of difference is that going to be?
Stupid money.
So you can buy something for like, what, 10 grand that's for development would be worth?
10, 15 grand maybe. Oh, and then, I mean, that would be millions.
Yeah, so like,
you know, and
10.
Yeah, so, you know, some people will sacrifice some of their land because they need the money for development. But to be forced to sacrifice it and not even get the money, you know, if a farmer came to me now and said, well, I'm going to buy that land off you to farm it, and I go, well, I don't want to, because I want to farm it. But that's really what they're effectively doing. I mean, we've got a classic sat next to us in there. I mean, the other side of that fence, there's thousands of houses going in. I once said to the director up there, I said, I'll tell you what, take the fence down, take my 150 acres, I'll make a load of money and I'll go somewhere else. His words at the time, you're 20 years too early. Now, I wouldn't even want to do that, because I know
you're not going to get the money.
I'm not going to get the uplift that I should get for it.
Yeah. Has that changed then? When did that rule
Well, that's what's coming in.
Oh, okay, so it's not in there yet.
No, this is what's coming in now.
Right, so they're hitting you from all
this is where
angles,
the land grab comes in. Yeah, they
so you've got income tax reduced. Was it SFI? Did you say?
Yeah.
And then the compulsory purchase of land. So there's 3 angles of attack.
So the other one is solar panels.
Right.
I mean, a lot of there is money there, but it's not. But again, these investing companies, they've got no intention of us being self-sufficient in production of what we do. They just will let it come in. There's all these different greening things and different things they have to put in and everything. I don't understand all that. one day somebody else might sit down and explain it to me. I haven't got the time to take it all on board. I'm not just driving around the countryside just for a jolly. Trust me, I'm not. I'm very passionate. I'm doing it for my kids, my grandkids, and probably as much as anything for my parents that are no longer with me, because they work bloody hard to get what we've got. And I'm not going to give in. And some aren't interested in doing it. They are, but behind the scenes, they don't want to go to the effort of demonstrating. I understand that. If they don't want to, I will do. And I'll be honest. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer just over a year ago, and it's made me think massively. Okay, they tell me they can cure it, that it's treatable. I don't know what's around the corner. I take every day now as it is, and it's making me think, because it's a horrible situation to be in. It does hit you hard. It hits you like a bloody train. Of course it does. But I'm learning to deal with it. I've had no treatment. There will be treatment. But at the moment, they're monitoring it. While I can get a few things sorted. I've had a half knee replacement. But
knee. Is there anything that you haven't? And you,
to be honest,
I'm knocking you. You shouldn't your cherry picker. I'm living.
Yeah, I rolled the cherry picker as well. I mean,
sorry, we didn't get on camera. Andy telling me about rolling his cherry picker.
Yeah, I did some.
Broke his back.
I don't know. Yeah, I've had
There's definitely a country song in here somewhere.
I've had a few things. People reckon I've got 9 lives, and I'm probably using them up quite quickly. I've had a few. But saying that though, I mean, I go in and I fill in the forms when I'm at the hospital, and you look down and you think, well, yeah, I've had a few things, but to be honest, nothing compared to a lot of people. But I won't lie, the cancer is the hardest, because the word comes up. I went public with it. That's why I'm happy to talk about it now. When you get that call, and they found it by mistake. But anyone that's watching this, I strongly advise them to get checks. But you know, there's 2 ways. I mean, they said I can go straight in, I can have surgery, I can have all these different things.
It's the PSA is a simple blood test, first of all, isn't it? It's literally
PSA is a simple blood test.
I've just had it done myself, just because I've just turned 50, and it was literally phone the GP. GP says, go down the local hospital, book yourself in, waited there 20 minutes, had the PSA test, it was blood test, and then they go through, you know, what it was.
Yeah.
And
so, I mean, I'm now having one every 3 months. I'm on the system. I've got. I can pick the phone up. I can talk to the consultant whenever I like. They gave me 4 or 5 different options. We've decided to monitor it because I was having my knee replacement, because if I had any cancer treatment, they wouldn't do my knee operation, because obviously your resistance isn't good. So I've got options. But at the moment, I'm monitoring it. Dealing with it, I'll be honest, it's tough, because I have to have an MRI just before Christmas, so I then have to wait over the whole Christmas period to get the result. Where obviously I'm only just over 12 months down the line now. I won't lie, there's good days and there's bad days, and it does mess with your head.
Yeah.
But I am positive. I've got friends. I've had an awful lot of people message me when I first announced it. I was shocked by the messages, and I didn't announce it for sympathy or anything like that. I just wanted to share my experience of how they found it, which was total mistake, really, just by chance. But you know, to be honest, I wake up every day, I make the most of every day, and I intend to, but I certainly am letting the government take what I've got and what I want to hand over, because it's, like I say, it's going to be a bit of a battle. I don't know.
Well, you got a battle on your hands, and it's like, I mean, it's like, you know, they're here for at least another 4 years. Well, unless something happens.
I think now, this is my personal thought, is yes, they might well be here. I think they're going to completely destroy everything that we did have going that was good. But all I can hope is that the public will stay with us. And like I said, we're not just fighting this for the inheritance tax now. We're fighting this for, the military widows. They're now having to pay tax. It's massive, massive effect. I know they've got to get their money back. I mean, let's face it, when we had COVID and they started giving all the handouts, it was going to have to come back from somewhere.
Yeah.
It was going to have to come back. But
you can get money by building things.
Exactly.
By creating things.
And all I can hope
there's a difference
is that
there.
People will see, like I said, if they voted Labour, doesn't bother me in the slightest. I really don't care. But think why they voted Labour, and Labour aren't doing what they said they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you want to go for somebody? You might as well just put a pin on any name, because and let's randomly see what they're going to do to us. But we'll see.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with it. I mean, this podcast is primarily about, motor racing. And I've kind of, on purpose let it be hijacked by something I suppose I feel passionate about. And is hijacked not right? It's probably not the right word, but it's like, I just wanted to find out where things were from, why are you getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Because it's literally been getting up. Is that what it is? It's like getting up at the crack of dawn. How do you get down to do you go on the A40 or something? How do you
straight
get
down the A41?
A41,
and the thing is, traffic, once you get sort of towards Aylesbury Way, really, we don't hold the traffic up. The traffic holds us up.
Right.
I mean, there was one incident on the last time. I'll say it now because I've done it and got away with it. But going into
Tell me it drives. If I was driving across fields.
No. I wasn't going across the field. No, not at all. I mean, my tractor is quite recognisable. It's got wooden cows on it. It's got Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' heads coming out of his backsides, and we've got the famous.
You had Farage doing a speech on the trailer, didn't you, or something?
Yeah, well, we met up for there was a bit of a thing where they did a demonstration. Farmers for Action, they've been, there's all sorts of different groups. I don't understand the politics of all the groups. I'm learning a bit more about it, but all I'll say is if anyone from the groups is watching this, for Christ's sake, unite. Let's not bicker over the different groups as to who should be or who shouldn't be. We're all in this for the same reason. And it's something we've got, because the weak point we've got, or any government's got, is if they've got disagreements in-house. Well,
you divide and you get conquered. It's exactly the same bloody message for reform at the moment. If they're, if they're actually going to make any headway, they've got to sort their shit out.
Yeah, they have. But no, we went into London and we were running a bit late, as a couple of us, because we all sort of meet up in different places, and we came across this blooming great long line of traffic. And I thought, I'm not sitting in this. And I rang the guy behind me. I said, look, are you up for doing something that we perhaps shouldn't do? And he said, you know me. And is that you?
No, that's you.
I don't know what that is. So anyway.
It's the Chinese government listening.
Yeah. I'll put it in writing if they want. And anyway, we just decided we'd pull out past all the stationary cars. And that is. And I must admit, when I was doing it, it reminded me of when I was doing the RAC rally, where we're trying to get back into Chester to the finish, and there's thousands of cars, public, and we've got obviously a time to get there, otherwise we go OTL. And the police used to lead us down the paths on the wrong side of the road, break every law, but the police used to, and I mean, these have been going back obviously over the years. I used to run management cars for people, and we used to do all sorts. I remember driving down what I thought was a little lane. It wasn't, it was a towpath. We went down alongside of a canal. That was around Chester.
No way.
But anyway, so I thought, well, if we could do it in rally cars and get away with it, why can't I do it in a tractor?
Yeah.
So there we were on the wrong side of the road, past all these parked cars, just kept going. If we met a car, we're bigger than them, they moved over. And to be fair, most of the cars, they just acknowledged us. And we got to the end, and there's a set of traffic lights, and we went round the red traffic lights and ran around about and carried on into London.
Awesome. Allegedly.
Yeah, we didn't do it. We thought about it.
Yeah, excellent.
No, we didn't do it. No, I'm not admitting to anything.
No.
Like some of my speeding antics of no, we don't do that. It's all on private road.
Brilliant. That's a great way to end it.
It is. When the trim came off my Evo 6 at 160 miles an hour, and I had to reverse a long way down a private 3-lane road to go and get the roof trim off of it. Yeah. One other one, which is this. I've got to add this one in because when obviously I talk about the cancer and all the different things, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and you know we are only here.
I forgot you don't give a fuck anymore, do you?
No, I do. I do. I'll do anything for anybody. I really will. I'll help anybody out. And people watching this that are friends on Facebook, they see the stuff. If someone stopped on the side of the road with I'll help anybody. It's just the way I am. My dad was the same, and I'll do it. And I know my son would do the same, and my grandchildren will probably do it all the same. But when I was working down at ProDrive, I mean, that was a fantastic experience. We were on the test track and everything. And we did a day for Peugeot, for a group that were there. And the winner was he won a Peugeot car. So he was, quite competitive. And we had to narrow it down in the numbers. Sorry. And Richard Burns was coming in to do the final selection from the top 5. And of course he turned up with his PA, and they said, well, we've got the last 5, you've got to sit in with them and score them. He says, well, I'm not doing that.
2 words. Fuck that.
Yeah, sorry. He said, why am I going to sit in there? I've got a World Rally Championship to go and win. Yeah. I'm not sitting next to anybody that I don't know.
Yeah.
So ironically, I landed up sitting in with them. He was sat in the grandstand. He was scoring from the outside, I was scoring from the inside, and we came up with pretty well the same score. And look what happened to him.
Yeah.
So it just shows you just enjoy
live it for each day.
every moment. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, mate, thank you again for spending some time.
No,
it's not information. I just wanted to hear from you. Really, I just wanted to just talk to you and find out what it's about. There's something that makes you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go down and hear it from the horse's mouth. That's the whole point of doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I hope anyone that watches this, they understand it. Or some people might like it, some people might not. But yeah, you've had a fair bit of life history with me.
Yeah,
there's an awful lot of other things as well.
So, we'll talk about that when we switch the camera.
Top
man.
All right.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks, man.
Right.
Cheers.
Brilliant people. I'm just going to get in front of this tractor. Hope this isn't going to be a bit of a Tiananmen Square moment. Look at that. Stop killing the people who feed you. What an amazing moment.